What is up, some beautiful people? Shout out to my team. This is a quick little video about winning the 84-man in-person regional. So just came in, flew in, I'm tired. But just going to talk about what worked, what didn't work. That's the big takeaway from this. Um, some huge upgrades you can make to this deck. I still like it. But there were cards here where I was like, this is terrible. We got to take it out. We got to take this out. So that's what we're going to talk about now. I did go 10 and 0. The finals was very intense. There was a lot of games where I could have lost at any point, but I was able to squeak out some wins. First thing we'll talk about, ironically, is going to be the sideboard. The sideboard, I would say, was almost perfect, except I would get rid of these Deborahs and Fusamasu. I'd go up on Haru Haru, and I'd go up on Focus Breakthrough. Yellow and green are your hardest two matchups because they're the most popular right now. And Haru Haru just feels really good to do. Ironically, because of that, people were bringing in Cunning against me because they knew I run it. So it becomes less good as people know you play it. But if they're devoting a sideboard slot to a Cunning, it's a 5K, so that's fine. Talking about the deck, why Gohan is so good. We've already talked about this before. The fact that you have a built-in field that generates some value is good, but really it's the fact that your leader can look at your top five and then will use cards like this Gohan. Once it's underneath your hyperbolic time chamber, you can be at 15K, which effectively makes you awoken for combo step without actually having to be awakened, which is actually very relevant because you get to save yourself some life. Because early game aggro, the deck is very weak too. I played Jason Scott, shout out to him, in top eight, and he always put me down below 4 life by turn two. Like the amount of aggro you can like, and there's nothing to do about it. Like I was just taking hits to the face. Um, so I had a 3-3 split, which you guys can see here for the tournament. I always thought this was enough, having 3 Trunks, 3 Vegeta. Figure 6 targets, I'd hit it frequently on one. I'd say I hit maybe half the time for the event where I actually could play it on one. And then more often than not, when I did it, I didn't have the other one in my was either in my life or was in my hand already, and so I didn't get to search it out. So if you're gonna run the Vegeta in Trunks, it has to be at 4, is my opinion, and that's why I say cut it. The reason why I used to run that card and why I ran it at this event is it generates a fair amount of value. You get an attack in that's critical, it replaces itself, and you get 2Z energy. Those are all very good things. But honestly, I would just replace it with a 1 drop who does something because it felt bad every game. Because eventually you're going to draw it, right? And you don't need it past turn one. Because you can't even pay it for one. Like you can't just be like 1 mana, play the Vegeta by itself. You have to have the Trunks in your drop. It's just not very good. So I'd say cut that card. That was the weakest card in my deck. What else made the deck very strong was I was playing this. Justin Rios, I think, came up with this. I'm not sure. But whoever did started running King Vegeta. It really ups the power of Gohan and makes the deck significantly better and more consistent. The reason is he comes into play for 3 markers, and you can get rid of anything on the board um, and kill it, or more likely than not, you make your opponent discard a card from their hand, effectively at random, because then they don't get to choose what card it is. So you can hit SCRs. I hit a total of 3 SCRs throughout the weekend, 2 in top eight, and then 1 in on the way to top eight. My opponent attacked, and I hit it his Gohan SCR, so he was pretty upset about that. I had 6 cards in hand, so I had a shot, but like it felt good. That being said, using that card, discard effects become better. And so your opponents are going to try to bring in Deborah's, and they're going to try to bring in some other cards to counter it. This will actually help your strategy. The reason why is if they think you're going to be making them discard a card, they'll keep 1 energy back for Deborah. If you ever see energy up and you're suspicious of it, you just don't focus on the discard and you just start attacking. Then when they tap the energy, now you can go ahead and discard. So you would see frequently during my turns, I wouldn't use King Vegeta right away. I'd use other cards and just attack a lot. And then if they ever tapped all their energy, then I would start using it. And otherwise, I'd like kill something on their board or just get better value that way. Because we do run in unison, that also means we can bring back Charismatic Villain. You don't realize it, at least I didn't. Charismatic Villain is in a sweet spot right now. So many cards don't have barrier and are very important. I played against a Majin Vegeta player. I think it was round two. We were both undefeated, and he was a very good player. His deck was very good, but on turn three, I was able to play King Vegeta, and I used King Vegeta to kill his Goku. Okay, because that Goku generates him a lot of value. Then his next turn, he tried to play another Goku on his turn three. Well, I charismatic villained it. At that point, the game was pretty much over, right? Because he wasn't drawing additional cards, he wasn't getting the utility, and he was spending mana for no real benefit, right? Like these were all bad things for him. Some other stuff is pretty generic. I think everybody agrees right now. You run 3 cells destroying Kamehamehas. The reason being is it's a random discard in 15k, and it's very good utility. In top four, my opponent attacked with 5 cards in hand, and that's all he had left. He used no super combo on the swing, and he had a base 25k, and he bottom decked a card. He went up to 6 cards, I think was what it was. And so I was like, I had 2 energy open. I used 2 cells Kamehamehas, and I hit one of his super combos and something else. And then on my turn, because I had 2 energy up, I couldn't use it on anything else because it just guarantees you a 1-for-1 always, right? And then you get out of attacks that are big, so that's very good value. Then on my turn, he only had now 4 cards in hand. I King Vegeta him, hit another super combo. Turns out he had all 4 super combos, so my odds were very good, but he was very upset about it. That was to get to undefeated. He was the other undefeated Gohan. I think it was. I'm not sure. I lose track of who I played. Anyway, you'll see the weirder part about my list from other lists is I think Wicked Saiyans is the SCR to play. The reason is you can't really beat blue. A lot of blue control decks are just too good. I could see an argument on that note of running an anti floodgate. Like, I'm not running any. That was a mistake in my sideboard. I don't know. I don't know why I'm not running it. You should all be running that card in your sideboard, but I wasn't. So I think it was turn two against Jared Lopez. I went to play my Vegeta um, off of Hyperbolic. Once it was in play, he played that 2-drop that bottom decked the Vegeta and made me lose a card from my hand. So I lost 2 value. So all I could do was then swing with my leader. Luckily, Wicked Saiyans was in my top 5. And what's really cool about this, if we both have 2 or more energy, so we both have to have 2 energy. That's the important part, just so we're clear. Um, for the dual attack part. Otherwise, he still, though, gets this part, right? No matter what, you get to do this. So even if you have 2 energy and they have no energy, doesn't matter. At the end of the battle, which card is used in a combo, you may choose, your opponent may switch 4 of their cards to rest mode. If they do, um, you remove this card from the game. If they don't, you get to play the card, and your opponent chooses 2 cards from their hand. So after Jared did that, all I could literally do was combo this Wicked Saiyans. He was already awoken, so he took the damage and he went to 5. Then Wicked Saiyan swung after discarding 2, and Wicked Saiyan swung again. So he went all the way down to 3 um, because of this. And then my next turn, I was able to get him down to 2. Of course, because that deck is solid, it had then played Android 21. He got back to 4 life, but then I was able to barely get there and survive and kill him. But without Wicked Saiyans, he 100% would have won game 2. So just keep that in mind, is Wicked Saiyans let you win matches you shouldn't win. Another part that's very, very important to keep in mind, this deck likes to combo, and this is a 0-10k. So having a 0-10k is always relevant, is the way I look at it. So I really like it. Other things to keep in mind. You always need to be running Paragus Super Combo. Don't be cute and trying to run the other one. The reason why is this one's always online for 10k, but the ability to draw 2, then warp a card came up twice in my matches because I had 2 super combos in my hand, and that was the only thing in my hand. So had I had one of the other super combos, I would have had a bottom deck one first. The fact that this card lets you draw, then warp, way more utility. When it came to sideboarding, almost always I took out Vegeta, Majin Exterminator, because he was really just there because I didn't know what else to put in because I had space. In retrospect, this card shouldn't have been the 1-drop. Probably you just play whatever Borgos equivalent is in green. I don't know what it is, but the barrier who stops negates, just so you have like a nice built-in strategy that draws a card. And then we have 6 spots available. I think one overwhelm's still the right number. Um, I'm very hesitant to add more to the deck. What else is there? The Z deck was almost perfect. I never cast a Jaren, so we have an easy spot right there. I think after this weekend, we get rid of a Jaren and we get rid of a Frieza and we grab the new Brawly and the new Z card, the extra, and then we might even add another Z card because I really like that Z battle card extra. If it's very good utility, we might just play a second Son Goku. I'm not sure. Like if we get rid of it, two Son Gokus feels greedy. This is the hardest part about Gohan, right? Like there's so many good green cards now. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I don't think there's anything else. Um, this was a mistake I was doing throughout the tournament. I never read this and how it works. So basically, the part that I was missing, and people explained to me later, is this card costs one once you're Z awakened, pretty much. There's other ways to make it that low, but I never really paid attention to it. This is a very good utility card. You can play it on your turn, um, and you can just go ahead and cast it for one if you're Z awakened to make somebody's to basically get rid of any card at 7 or less, and you also can get rid of 2 markers from a unison. Against Jared, I almost lost the game because I discarded this card, and I guess everyone watching was like, "What are you doing? You're an idiot!" And because I didn't know, like I'd never read this card besides the fact that I knew it was a free 10K because I just haven't been playing too many games. And I could have just paid one, got rid of his blocker, and I would have gotten rid of his unison, and he had no cards in hand. So at that point, I could have just, swung with my Frieza and then immediately swung with my leader, and there's probably nothing he could have done because he would have like had no blocks. And it would have been, if he drew, like I had a unison, like I had a lot of ways of getting, like it would have been a very easy game. But because I discarded this, it was a lot harder. I still got there, but it was like I got to 20K for my final swing, and he could only get to 20K. So that's not as good as just automatically winning. Anything else? Cooler Armed Force was relevant. I did like this card. This could become a sideboard card. This is primarily for red. Against red in particular, and against some blue matches, it's basically when the game has gone too late, it becomes very good utility. What's weird about it though is if you can't play the unison, this is one of your best turn 3 plays if you're going to try to save your awaken. And I know that sounds crazy. So all you do then is you just play Cooler Armed Forces, you swing once, kill something on their side of the board, or make them discard a card, and then you have 1 energy up. You've swung with your leader already by this point. You just pass the turn, and the very first attack they do, you cast this Uneasy Awakening. You get to draw a card. You make them discard a card. You discard a card for its effect. And odds are most people won't keep attacking you, and you might start the turn with this cooler again, and that would be the dream scenario. And that happened a few times. Not a few times, it happened once. And that I won that game very easily because since I already had the cooler, um, and I was just able to be like cooler swings as my very first attack. He had the floodgate, which I was okay with, because I was playing in the yellow, and he discarded a card. He didn't have the Deborah, and he didn't have a Gohan, so he had to actually lose a card. Then I played for 2 energy. I played the Z battle card Frieza, killed his new Mechie, and then I tapped Mechie. Yeah, I tapped the Frieza for this cooler to swing again, and then he had to discard effectively 2 cards for when this cooler swang. It connected, and then my leader just finished him off. So very good utility. I forgot what I tapped. I think I actually tapped an energy on that because I was like, all right, nothing else I can do. But yeah, it's really good utility. So going in, I don't know if this deck is as good as the Birthing Chamber deck for green. That's gonna be the hard part. This is cute. It does a lot of tricks. That green deck though, people were showing me some lists like that. That looks pretty great because you get like free draws and draws and draws. I just don't know what defense that deck has besides just the Z Battle card. So we'll have to see what it can do. And I really like that this deck has that built-in Android 16. Like this makes this so viable. This Android 16 with this Gohan, this really makes the deck. Because you have a guaranteed when you want it awaken that they can't interact with, and I love it. So just keep that in mind. I'll see you guys later.